long before Egypt learned how to carve names into stone, before walls became memory and temples became time itself, the land learned patience. The desert waited. The Nile moved slowly, predictably, like breath during sleep. In this ancient world, nothing rushed and nothing existed without meaning. Power was not loud. It was steady. It repeated itself every morning in ritual, every night in silence. And within this world, where kings were imagined as living gods, and gods were imagined as men, a woman was born who would rule by understanding silence better than anyone before her. Her name was Hatshepsut. She entered the world surrounded by certainty and uncertainty at the same time. She was royal, but she was not expected to rule. She was intelligent, observant, and deeply aware of her surroundings. But Egypt had already decided what her future should look like. She would be a queen, perhaps a wife, perhaps a regent, but never the final voice of power. That voice, tradition insisted, belonged to a man, her father, that most the first, was a strong and ambitious ruler. His reign was defined by military success, expansion, and confidence. He carved his victories into stone so that even time would be forced to remember him. As a child, Hatshepsut walked through halls where enemies were shown kneeling, where gods placed crowns upon royal heads, where order defeated chaos again and again in carved reliefs. These images were lessons. They taught her how Egypt understood itself. Her mother, Amos, was of royal blood, something that carried enormous weight. In Egypt, legitimacy was everything. Bloodlines were proof that the gods approved. From her mother, Hatshepsut learned grace and restraint. From her father's court, she learned caution. She listened more than she spoke. She watched how men behaved when they believed power belonged to them alone. As tradition required, she married her half-brother, Thutmose II. It was not love that defined the union, but necessity. Egypt needed continuity, and continuity demanded ritual repetition. Thutmose II ruled briefly and without distinction. His health was weak, and his authority seemed fragile. When he died, Egypt faced a familiar but dangerous moment, transition. The heir, Thutmose III, was still a child. Egypt could not be ruled by a child alone. Order depended on visible strength. Someone needed to guide the throne, speak the rituals, command the administration, and reassure the gods that balance remained unbroken. That responsibility fell to Hatshepsut. At first, nothing seemed unusual. She became regent. Her name appeared alongside the young kings. She performed ceremonies, presided over officials, and maintained stability. Egypt had seen regents before, and women had served in advisory roles without disturbing the cosmic order. Everything appeared temporary. But time passed. The child king did not suddenly become a man, and the regent did not fade into the background. Instead, Hatshepsut's presence grew stronger, more central, more complete. She did not announce ambition. She did not challenge authority. She simply continued, and Egypt, valuing continuity above all else, accepted this continuation, slowly, carefully. She began to change the shape of power. Her image appeared more frequently in temples, her voice carried further into decisions. Priests acknowledged her authority. Officials adjusted their loyalty. Nothing broke, nothing cracked, order remained. Then, without spectacle or violence, Hatshepsut did something that had never been done before. She became pharaoh. She did not ask Egypt to redefine kingship. She redefined herself. She adopted the full regalia of a king. The crown rested on her head. The ceremonial beard framed her face. Her body was carved according to the symbolic proportions of male rulers. In inscriptions, masculine language replaced feminine forms. This was not denial. It was translation. Egypt did not rule through flesh and bone. It ruled through symbol and ritual. Hatshepsut understood that to preserve Maat, the sacred balance of the universe, she had to become what balance expected. She did not present herself as a woman claiming power. She presented herself as power itself. To strengthen legitimacy, she claimed divine birth. Temple inscriptions told a story familiar to Egyptian belief. The god Ammon visited her mother, taking the form of Thutmose I. The gods had chosen her before she was born. Her rule was not ambition. It was destiny. And Egypt believed destiny. Her reign unfolded quietly, almost gently. There were no great wars, no desperate defenses. Instead, Egypt turned inward and outward at the same time. Trade flourished. Diplomatic relationships strengthened. The famous expedition to the land of Punt returned with incense trees, gold, ivory, exotic animals, and rare treasures. These were not symbols of conquest, but of connection. Hatshepsut ruled without bloodshed. She built not to intimidate, but to last. Temples rose across Egypt bearing her name. Her greatest achievement, the mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, stood in harmony with the cliffs behind it. Its terraces stepped upward like a slow ascent into eternity. It did not dominate the landscape. It belonged to it. Every stone spoke of order, patience, and permanence. Hatshepsut understood something few rulers acknowledged. Memory is fragile. She filled Egypt with her image not of vanity, but necessity. She knew that silence could erase even the greatest reign. Her name appeared on walls, statues, and monuments across the land for more than 20 years. Egypt knew peace. A generation grew up without war. Farmers followed the rhythm of the Nile. Priests followed ritual. Children learned her name without questioning it. Egypt slept easily. And then, quietly, she died. There was no collapse, no omen, no divine punishment. The world continued. Thutmose III assumed full control of the throne. Years passed. Only then did the erasure begin. Her names were chiseled from stone. Her images were smashed or buried. Reliefs were altered to replace her with male rulers. This was not done in haste or anger. It was slow, deliberate, and systematic. History tried to forget her. Perhaps it was fear. Perhaps it was politics. Perhaps it was the discomfort of a truth that challenged tradition too deeply. A woman had ruled. Successfully, peacefully, effectively, for centuries. Hatshepsut vanished. Her monuments remained. But her identity dissolved. Scholars puzzled over contradictions. A king with a woman's name. A male body carved with feminine traces. Only when archaeology learned how to listen to silence did her story return. Her mummy was discovered among others, hidden and unnamed. Modern science confirmed what stone had tried to erase. She had lived. She had ruled. She had succeeded. Hatshepsut's power was never loud. It never needed to be. She did not force Egypt to change. She understood Egypt so completely that it accepted her without realizing it was changing at all. And now, as night settles and history grows quiet once more, her reign remains. A reminder that the most enduring strength often moves softly, leaving no disturbance behind. Only order, only memory, only calm.